This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. And as always, we appreciate you making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. And we do appreciate you subscribing, liking our videos on YouTube. Go to Locked On Bets. The audience is growing every day. We appreciate your support. And if you want to tell your friends about it, tell your family about it, we're here every day from Monday to Friday. And you can also find us on Spotify and Apple as well for the audio version. If you want to look at our faces, then you just hear us. You could go there to listen to the podcast. But find us on YouTube, Locked On Bets, and leave comments. Give us a like. Also, Lee, next week we're going to incorporate, too, a little Q&A in the middle of the week.
Yeah, what we're going to do is if anyone has a question about gambling or how we approach certain games, let's say there's a particular game coming up that you'd like to see us break down and predict, or have a question about a certain player, why have we gone for or against a certain team or a certain player, DM me at Paramount Sports on Twitter or /X, or Kevin at Rogers Picks, and we'll address those questions on a Tuesday or Wednesday each week. So we want to incorporate your thoughts and suggestions because we're only two people. We love to hear it if it can help out the show and also makes good content. And even if you have some hair, thoughts on my hair or Kevin's hair, you can throw that in there, good or bad.
I mean, I think we'll be okay in that standpoint. That's the one thing we have going for us. But, if you want to be interactive with it, you have questions, a lot going on with the college football playoff, with the bowls, with the NFL season coming to a close, a lot going on. So you can find us. We appreciate, again, your support. So with that being said, let's get to the picks, and let's begin with tonight's wrong team favorite.
What the fuck?
WTF.
The NBA Cup continues tonight, the quarterfinal rounds. You have Spurs-Lakers is the late game, but before that, the Suns and the Thunder in Oklahoma City, and OKC. No championship hangover. They're 24-1. They've won 15 straight. Their only loss is by 2 at Portland. I mean, it's unbelievable what Oklahoma City is doing. It's just like an automatic win every time they go out to the court. But they take on Phoenix tonight, and the Suns have been better than expected this season after trading Kevin Durant to Houston in the offseason, and 14-10 out of the gate, looking to avenge an earlier loss to OKC. Suns about a 2-touchdown underdog here, Lee. So what do you like with OKC and Phoenix?
Yeah, 14.5 points is a lot. And what happens a lot like football, like in USC days in college when they were just rolling over everyone, they keep raising the line until people start betting at least half the other way, or, they start losing a little bit. So this might be a case here to go against Oklahoma City. Why do I say that? Well, Phoenix was there less than a week and a half ago, and they only lost 123-109. 2 free throws sealed the victory for OKC with 4 seconds to go. So it wasn't like it was a backdoor cover. Phoenix was there the whole time. The line was the same, 14.5. I'm going to bet that Devin Booker plays in this game. If not, the line's going to go up to 16.5, 17. So I do believe there's a real good chance because the Cup and going to Las Vegas is on the line here. Why not give it a shot here? Improvement from almost every player on their roster. Brooks has been good. Mark Williams, a center, come over from Charlotte. He's done a really good job. Increased his scoring, his rebounds. He has a presence in the middle there. Royce O'Neal, doing a little bit of everything. So I like what this team does. I think they share the ball also. OKC is great. They're one of the greatest teams we've seen over the last decade. But like I said, eventually they're going to reach a point where the line is just way too high. And I think this might be one of those situations, especially with Phoenix having something to play for here. So, if they go out and shoot 55, 60%, well, so be it. But I think the odds are in our favor here. Let's take Phoenix here. Plus the over 2 touchdowns here. I think they're going to stay within 2 touchdowns. Might get a backdoor cover here. Field goal or touchdown late. Phoenix Suns plus the 14.5. Or I don't know if they're the wrong team favored, but I think they're going to cover.
Also, too, Lee, you brought up like USC, and it goes back to, this is a long time ago now, 2007 with the Patriots. They were laying 3 touchdowns in some of those games. It got to that point where they could just lay it because they were scoring 40 or 50 points a game. I remember they played the Dolphins late in the season. The Dolphins got to cover us like a 24-point underdog. It was something ridiculous. But yeah, that's what it's getting to with OKC, and they just keep steamrolling these teams. SGA didn't play against Utah, and they were up 25 after the first quarter. So it's pretty insane, but Oklahoma City, a great start. We'll see if Phoenix hangs around with them tonight. The NBA Cup continues. We already know we have the Eastern Conference matchup. The Magic and the Knicks will play coming up Saturday. New York won at Toronto. The Magic beat the Heat last night. That was one of our picks in the show. I had the over in that game. It finished under. We were on a nice pace in that game, Lee, until the fourth quarter, and things kind of slowed down. I think we needed 55 or 60, something like that in the fourth, and we came up a bit short in that. So that being said, Jack Bond was on the show yesterday. He went 2-1 on his NHL picks, and he had the Islanders over the Golden Knights. Vegas scored late to tie that game, and then the Islanders won in the shootout. He had Dallas. They held off Winnipeg. Colorado won in the shootouts. They didn't cover the 1.5, but he did a good job there at the NHL. So in your absence, Lee, 2-2, but Jack went 2-1.
He's the ultimate pitch hitter. That's why Jack's part of my team and been with me for a number of years. And hockey and baseball are his specialties. He contributes to everything, but he's on it. He's got those 3 TVs. He's watching it every night. I just got to keep him away from having a serious girlfriend. He has that serious girlfriend for like once every year for a 2-3 week period. And, he's over the girlfriend's house, staying out a little late, but other than that, he's real focused. So everyone has their weaknesses. That's Jack's weakness. I just had to point that out. But love Jack. Always does a great job. Don't ever have to worry about him filling in. And that's why he wins in every sport.
And he should be back. I believe he's back on next Tuesday again with us. So looking forward to more picks with him coming up next week. I want to bring this up, Lee, that we discussed the college football playoff earlier in the week, but now all the matchups for the bowls have come out. And I understand that with the college football playoff, it's really hard to get excited for the Potato Bowl and the Frisco Bowl and all these other bowls that are starting. But at the same time, they're on the board, and these are games you can bet on and you can make money off of. But just the hard part, we used to talk about motivation with it, but also now with, coaches leave, but also players can say, forget it, I don't want to play in this game. How much more of a challenge has that been, like, for you trying to handicap these other bowl games that are technically meaningless, and now these players can just bail at any time, and you have a freshman quarterback going in this game playing his first game because the other quarterback says I'm not playing the game?
Well, it is more of a challenge, a lot more. But the good part is everything's slowed down. It's not like all the games are in 1 week. So I can take it day by day. There's things that go on. You hear about some late guys opting out. Sometimes they don't tell you who's practicing, who's not. But eventually it comes out usually couple days before or a day before, so we can make adjustments. And, there's some teams I find out that they've got the staff, they're on the road and they're recruiting. They're going to state championship games. They're trying to fill staffs. They're not practicing. Other teams, have lost their coaches and they're, they've got a couple guys hanging around here, position coaches or the head coach for the bowl game. And, so you have to take all that into account. But I actually like it. I think it's more of a challenge. And I think that I've been able to navigate and had some incredible bowl runs the last 4 or 5 years. So it's gotten tougher every year because of the opt-outs. Used to be almost everyone played unless you're a first or at the latest, a second-round pick. Now you see guys, 4th, 5th, 6th rounders opting out. So you got to know the roster. And that's what we do here at Paramount Sports. We've done the work. We start after spring practice last year, filling in our rosters. I'm watching tape, so I know who the backup quarterbacks, I know who the backup receivers are, I know who the 6th and 7th swing linemen are. So I relish it. I love it, and football is king for me. And that's why we've been able to win over the long haul, especially during bowl season.
I know I'm kind of throwing one out at you out of nowhere, but like one team, North Texas, they lost to Tulane in the American Championship, and North Texas's coach is going to leave to go to Oklahoma State.
Right.
Mestemaker, who had the best season of any quarterback in the country as a freshman, he threw for the most yards. Oklahoma State's quarterback situation was beyond poor this past year. We know Mike Gundy got fired. It was just a complete disaster. I'm guessing that Mestemaker will end up transferring to Oklahoma State to play with his coach. Is that fair to say?
I think it's one of the options he'll look at. I would say that's probably his number one choice, his new coach's number one choice. He would change it, but, you don't know. You don't know for sure. Money is involved now, and, he might get $2 million in Oklahoma State, and someone like West Virginia, who is even more starved and maybe has a little more money. Used to be Oklahoma State had all that money, T-Boone Pickens, but they don't have it. How about Utah? The news Utah yesterday that conglomerate has bought them company. They're going to invest $500 million, pour $500 million into that program. So the landscape has changed. He could end up anywhere. He could end up at Miami. Miami pays big. He could end up, I'm trying to think some of the other teams that are up there. Could end up at Georgia. There's going to be some teams out there that are going to be needing quarterbacks and not sure if they've got it on the roster. So I'd hate to be that kid that's a freshman that you redshirt a year or two and think it's your time, and then all of a sudden, Carson Beck ends up coming in for a year. Ward and the year before that for Miami. So the landscape has certainly changed. I wouldn't want to be a parent, wouldn't want to be a player, but it is what it is.
Now, I'm bringing this next question up. I'm not trying to make this as trying to rip them, but just kind of more from the football standpoint. What did you take out of Notre Dame and like Kansas State, these other schools that declined to go to bowls that have, that are bowl eligible? Obviously, Notre Dame was going to be in the playoff, but that you miss out on this 3 weeks, this 4 weeks of extra practice, and you get that extra game in. And I know Notre Dame could say, well, it means nothing to us because we're not in the playoff, we're playing for nothing, but just exposure. What do you take from those teams that are saying no thanks on these bowls?
I don't like it, number one, and I think it's the wrong thing to do. I think you're sending the wrong message. A lot about what goes on in society today, sends the wrong message. I mean, we could go into a lot of things, like Australia. The children under 16 now are not allowed to have social media. So I love it. I wish, my daughters weren't asking for a phone in fifth grade. They turned out, okay, it worked out okay, but you'd like to see kids going out playing. You'd like to see kids playing in bowl games. Younger kids, that's what it hurts, is the development of the younger kids. So that's the problem. I've been out to the University of Miami going back many, many years, and I remember them going to bowls, even when they weren't the top-tier bowls. Those extra 15 practices helped out those freshmen, redshirt freshmen, sophomores who were going to be vying for jobs next year in their development. If you're not doing it and you're just, doing mat drills and lifting weights, okay, you're doing something, but you're not out practicing your craft and getting better. And I think in the end, it might hurt some of those teams. I understand it. I understand Kansas State's position, Iowa State's. I understand they have a new coach. You don't know who's going to take over, but something is better than nothing.
Yeah, and there's been rumors Marcus Freeman could go to the NFL, so you never know about that if that's the case. If he ends up leaving Notre Dame when it's all said and done. Coming up, we have more picks to get to. We have a smorgasbord of NHL, college basketball, and NFL, so we're all over every sport here, and we will get to all of those picks coming up. You are listening to Locked On Bets. Time now to talk about FanDuel, and that's right, NFL season. It's more than here. We're on the second end of it, and Sundays move fast in the NFL. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game; you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. So you have Falcons Buccaneers coming up on Thursday in Tampa. And look, if you want to take Tampa Bay before the game, that's totally your choice. But maybe you could wait in the first quarter. If Atlanta scores early and maybe a field goal, a touchdown, that's the time to jump in on Tampa Bay, just like the opposite end. If you like the Falcons, Let's see if Baker Mayfield takes the Bucs down the field for a touchdown. They could jump in on Atlanta. And that's the best part about live betting is there's always something different throughout the game. If you want to go with the spread, with the money line, with the total, or even player props and see what you want to do. If the Falcons offense going a little bit slow early, Bijan Robinson, you want to take him maybe in the second quarter, go over his rushing prop. You can do that. Same thing with Baker Mayfield on the Bucs side. So many choices in these NFL games. And again, in all sports, in college football, in college basketball, in the NBA, you can jump in on the live betting at any time, and you don't have to feel rushed to make a bet before the game. And all the choices are there at FanDuel. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. We continue here on a Wednesday. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. I want to bring this up really quickly before we get to my NHL pick. So speaking of live betting, so last night I was watching a few games, the Quad Box on YouTube TV, and I had on the USC San Diego game in college basketball, and USC just blew a huge lead to Washington a few days ago. They were up big at the half and lost. And San Diego, they're coached by Steve Lavin. They're not very good. San Diego led by 3, about maybe 6 or 7 minutes left in the first half. And I had looked at my app and I saw that USC was laying 7.5 in game. I believe they were 14-point favorites for the game. And I was thinking, let me jump in here. I didn't. USC ended up winning the game by double digits. So I'm like, USC is going to bounce back. They're a better team here. They're making a short trip to San Diego. It was kind of a weird road game for them. But just going back on the whole live betting thing, that there are so many opportunities. Before I get to my pick, so what do you think your percentage is when you look at live betting compared to pregame?
I'm probably pretty good. I'm probably like 54, 55%, but I have runs. I've run off sometimes where I've won 10, 11 in a row and lost 7 or 8 in a row. You know, just sometimes the strangest things happen. I mean, especially in college basketball, you see runs. I'm going to talk about one of the games that we're going to talk about in college basketball where the last game a team is up big, and I think they're going to run away with it. Didn't bet the game, but I would have. And they get blown out, lose by 20-something points. So, you know, things can change. I'm more of a guy is based on, like, let's say an injury. I see an injury to a key player, and I can get on it. I just think that he is one of those guys that can make a difference for a team in the matchup. Or certain teams, like last year, I was betting the Heat against them in the second half. They would go into the halftime, and I don't know what it was at home. At home, they would just like literally come out and get blitzed like 21-4, 20-7. I mean, and they could a lot of times never catch up because they had a certain identity. Last year, they didn't have anyone coming out of the half in the fourth quarter that could finish games. So I thought betting them, you know, second half and against them fourth quarter both ways was a way to go. So I'm looking for identities of teams and certain players and matchups more. Anything can happen more in college. NFL, the backdoors really get you. Those backdoors, those will haunt you.
All right, let's take a look now at our next pick, Lee. We're going to go with our NHL Hidden Gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
All right, we're going to go, Lee. It's not a big card tonight in the NHL, but the late night game, LA and Seattle. And the Kraken, I'm going to take them in the first period tonight. And I'm going to disclose this stat. I can, not everything is going to be a positive stat. So Seattle's only led 3 times after the first period this year in 27 games. Okay, so you're thinking, why would you take Seattle in this spot against Los Angeles? However, I think this is a good position to take them in. LA hasn't allowed a goal in the first period of the last 3 games. They're coming off a nice win over Utah back on Monday night. And for the Kraken, it's been a bit of a down season. They've lost 6 in a row. But I think here off of back-to-back home losses to Detroit and Minnesota, they haven't won a home game since November 15th. They're on national TV tonight. They will come out and play well. Also, they've only trailed in the first period 4 times at home. So they've had a lot of pushes in that situation. When I say they've only led 3 times, they've also had a lot of pushes too. So even as an underdog, you take them there they push or you get your money back and you move on. But I think here, this is a good spot where LA's off a few wins, Seattle's off a few losses. I think Seattle comes back tonight and at least gets off to a good start. So we're going to take the Kraken in the first period tonight against the Kings as our hidden gem.
Yeah, I watched Kraken a lot. Late game out on the West Coast, and they do get off to good starts. I think their coaching staff is much better this year. They're playing hard. The problem is by late in the second, the third period, just don't have the talent compared to some of these teams they're playing. So first period has been the way to go to bet them, until they get some little bit better scores, and it's tough to do that as an expansion team. The Las Vegas Golden Knights are the exception, not the rule. Usually takes quite a few drafts and some really good trades. They've been good at doing it, just not Las Vegas Golden Knight level. So they're getting better. Good coaching staff finally, but first period probably the only way to look at taking them right now.
And then be done with that after 40 minutes, you move on. All right, let us now take a look at our college basketball blowout special in the Big Ten.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
Purdue and Minnesota, they hook up tonight. Purdue looking to bounce back after they got rolled by Iowa State. And the Gophers, they had a coaching change and still trying to figure themselves out. But Lee, Purdue, a heavy favorite tonight against Minnesota. What do you like? Yeah,
so if you look at what happened in their last games, you're like, how can Purdue be a 20-point favorite over Minnesota? Because Minnesota, even though they're 5-4, ended up defeating Indiana 73-64. Well, before that, things have been absolutely dreadful. They are ranked 112th overall by Ken Palm. We're not talking about the top 50, top 75, 112th. They have 123rd rated offense, and also their defense isn't much better. 107th here. They are averaging scoring just 73 points, which is 299th here. They're the 153rd rated shooting team, hitting only 31.7 behind the three-point stripe, and that's where they're going to be shooting a lot this game from behind here. That ranks them 253rd. On the other hand, Purdue lost their last game. This line might have been bigger if they had won their last game. So they played number 10 ranked Iowa State. They're now 8-1. They lost that game 81-58. They were leading middle of the first half, and then all of a sudden went absolutely cold. Cyclones went on a 13-2 run. In the second half, totally separated them. But it was one game. So I think they're going to be motivated here. 6th rated team, according to Ken Palm here. Number 1 offensive rating, 31st rated defensive rating here. Total mismatch here. I think they'll be motivated. They'll blow out Minnesota. Purdue, blowout special over the Golden Gophers here tonight in Big Ten action.
Yeah, we'll see how Minnesota responds. A team like that coming off a big upset. Then we saw how Indiana bounced back. They destroyed Penn State last night. They were up by 40 in that game, and they won that. So we'll see how Minnesota responds and see how Purdue responds after. Iowa State is probably a top 5 team in the country. Right. So they've been really good. That yes, it was a bad looking loss, but at the same time, Iowa State's a really good team. So we'll see how that moves forward with Purdue. All right, coming up, NFL Week 15. We're going to talk about a big interconference game. The Packers and the Broncos coming up on Sunday in Denver. That is straight ahead right here on Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets continues here on a Wednesday. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. We shift over to the NFL, the Packers and the Broncos. Huge one in Denver, and it's time now for our Lock of the Day.
Open it, open it, open it! Lee has the key to the Lock of the Day.
Broncos have been a huge surprise in the AFC. I think we knew they would be good, but just maybe not this good this year. They lead the AFC West. Packers got the huge win over the Bears on Sunday, held them off at Lambeau. So Green Bay, a short favorite at Denver. Lee, what do you like with this matchup?
All right, a lot of positives from both sides. So let's first look at Green Bay. I thought the last 2 games, excellent play calling by Matt LaFleur. What did he do against the Chicago Bears in that big matchup last week? Well, he identified that he would have probably enough time. Chicago's pass rush is pretty good, but not good enough, not elite level. So he did a lot of crossing patterns and had his receivers in the slot and even from the other side crossing the entire field, and where safeties were going to have to cover them. Both safeties for the Bears were, well, one of them was injured, so they had to play a backup, but that's their weakness in the back end. So he took advantage of it. So I thought that Watson was great. Christian Watson was incredible. They got a couple other guys back, and Reed is really good, and they're holding on to balls now. They're finally healthy. Jordan Love getting time, looking good. So love what they're doing there. Negative here for Green Bay is they're 3-6 as a road favorite since last season. Go back even further, another year, they're 3-8. You go back one more year, and they're 4-10, and one more year, 6-13. So that kind of tells you a coach's mentality. They're coming off 3 huge games against division opponents. They had this week off because they don't have to play a division opponent, but they got to travel west, got to play at 5,000 feet, a full mile up in the air against Denver, who's really good. And then they got to come back and play Chicago next week in Chicago. So I don't know if they're going to be 100% focused, maybe 85, 90%. On the other side, Denver, a couple weeks ago in overtime, like what they did against Washington, went hurry up, scored right down the field. Washington did score a couple fourth down conversions, but nullified the 2-point play, won that game, like the fact that coaching staff sped it up. And then last week, they dominated the Raiders. Don't look at the final score. There was 10 points scored at the end, last couple minutes, just to get the backdoor cover against them. They're winning close games. They remind me of Kansas City 2 years ago. They've won 7 games by 4 points or less. Their defense is that good. Offensive, statistically, numbers aren't great, but they have a lot of different guys at running back and receiver who know their roles, and they're filling it well. The defense is top 3, top 4. They have pass rushers. They have cover corners. They've got safeties. They have no weakness here. I think we're going to go with a level 1 lock here. Denver Broncos plus the points. If Denver beats the Raiders last week by 20, 30 points, which they were up by, I think it was 24-7. If they wouldn't have taken the foot off the gas, this line might be a pick 'em. They might be favored. We're going to go with a level 1 lock on the Denver Broncos over the Green Bay Packers.
All right, should be a pretty exciting game there in Denver. We'll see if the Broncos can keep it up, and who knows, maybe the Broncos can pass the Patriots for the number 1 seed in the AFC. The Patriots play the Bills coming up on Sunday. So, Lee, you have a very big December. We're underway with it. And what's going on with Paramount Sports now? We have college football playoff and the NFL rolling.
Yep. So hockey, as you saw Jack rolling again. You want to get on with that. Got all those specials for hockey up and available. Take advantage of that. I know it's a sport not a lot of people are familiar with, but, you know, let us do the work for you. You just bet it and hopefully win. Football. We've got 2 games in college, a bowl game, Washington, Boise, quick turnaround there. Think there's a clear right side winner, Army, Navy, and then a full slate of NFL, everything through the end of the month. Double Down December special, and also UFC. We are going to have a 50-unit max wager, only the 3rd time this year, a 50-unit play. It's the last UFC card. We won again last week, went 4-3. We won 19 of the last 25 cards, so you want to hop on board. 7 selections, $47, and I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to guarantee it's a winning card. If we don't win, next card is for free when they come back from the break. So everything's up and available. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Bets. And also you can find the podcast version on Spotify or Apple. And again, we appreciate your support. And again, tell your friends all about it and family, whoever you know. It doesn't matter. If you're a stranger, you can tell them too. But we'll be back with you coming up on Thursday. We'll have more football picks going into a very busy Week 15 as we have Atlanta and Tampa Bay kicking things off tomorrow night. For Lee Sterling, I am Kevin Rogers. Thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.